Hello everybody, today we're in beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm with my friend and lending partner, Kristen Smith from Academy Mortgage. Today we're doing a video on the cost of living in Flagstaff, and I know a lot of people ask about this, and so I brought in Kristen because Kristen has lived in Flagstaff all her life, and she's a little bit better at giving cost of living estimates. I can give you some estimates, but when I lived here it was at Mormon Lake, and so the gas bill was way higher. And Kristen lives right in town, so we're just going to go ahead and start talking about cost of living. So the channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where I'll teach you everything there is to know about living in the northern half of the state of Arizona. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate here in northern Arizona, and Kristen Smith is with Academy Mortgage, and she does all of my lending for me, or most of the lending for me. We partner up all the time and do a lot of deals together. What I'm going to do is put my contact information and Kristen's contact information in the description below. So if you ever have a question about real estate or lending, or if you just want to go to Kristen's website and put in an application to get yourself pre-qualified, or give me a call, text, email, either way, we got your back. You can reach us, and we love it when people reach out to us, and we will call you back. And so with that being said, we're going to tell you about cost of living in Flagstaff, Arizona. So I'm going to start by saying we have something that I use all the time called the cost of living index, and what that is there's a company that does national averages, and the national average for the nation is 100. And I want to put that into perspective because the cost of living here, the index is 118. So what that means is overall in general, Flagstaff is about 18% higher to live here than other parts of the country. Now, if you're going to look specifically at housing, that's going to throw it off a little bit because housing in Flagstaff is more expensive. Kristen and I look at housing numbers all the time. I just noticed before I came here, for November 2022, the average sales price for that month of all of Flagstaff sales, so that would include manufactured homes, single-family homes, and condos, was $612,000, which does seem kind of high.
It does, for average.
But, you know, that's what it is. And I have myself been looking to buy a house here in Flagstaff, even though I'm probably a year, maybe 2 years away from being able to do that. But I just saw today on the market there are a couple of two-bed, two-bath townhomes for about $400,000, which is within reason. Of course, the townhouse I like is closer to $500,000, and then a lot of the single family homes, it's hard to get a single family home less than $600,000, and of course you can go all the way to, you know, well, millions, but I would say the bulk of single family homes probably between 650 and maybe 1.2 million. Would you say that's where the bulk of the inventory is lying? So yeah, housing probably the most expensive cost of living factor here in Flagstaff. Okay, so I noticed when I filled up my tank this morning in Sedona, gas was $3.66 a gallon. What have you been paying up here?
I've been paying about $4 a gallon.
Okay, so gas may be a little bit higher, but I think compared to nationally, that's not that bad. When I was in Phoenix a week ago, it was, I think, $4.10 a gallon. So $4 a gallon, not too bad.
Not so bad up here.
Now, it seems like whenever I go to the grocery store here and in Sedona, the groceries are more expensive. Although when you live here, you get used to it. What were you saying? A carton of eggs?
Yeah, I think when I was grocery shopping yesterday, a carton of eggs was $6.50 for a dozen.
And then when I bought eggs yesterday in Sedona, it was $5.50. So that's a lot for a carton of eggs.
Yes.
But, I'm sure if you go to Phoenix, I know every time I'm in Phoenix, if I go to the grocery store, I'm just sticker shock how cheap it seems. But really, it's not that Phoenix is cheap. It's just that Flagstaff and Sedona are more expensive. So that's something you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about moving to Flagstaff. So something very important that a lot of you ask about is daycare. Now, my kids are grown, so I haven't had to pay for daycare in a very long time. And your kid,
she's 12 now, so
she's not in daycare, but you did do a little bit of research, right?
I did. So it's looking like the daycare is about $630 a month. That's depending on where you're going, of course. So this is for a well-established preschool daycare. But I do know that there may be some cheaper options with in-home daycare, but that's probably about average is $630 a month.
It actually doesn't seem that bad, because I think when my son was born, which was the year 2000, I had him in daycare. I think I was paying $145 a week, which is just under $600 a month. So that doesn't really seem that much, unless it's like drastically higher in Phoenix. Who knows?
Oh,
but yeah, $630 a month doesn't seem hard. But my kids are grown, and now I'm worried about paying for college and that other kind of stuff. So yeah, that's about what it would cost you if you're putting your kids in daycare. All right, now I want to tell you a little bit about rent. Now, I don't do rentals. I do have access to see what they are on the MLS, but the MLS doesn't really show a lot of rental properties. I might see a dozen if somebody asks me what are rental prices in Flagstaff, and I'm like, I don't know. I might see a dozen. If you would want to get a rental, I would suggest you go to a property management company. But what have you noticed with the rentals?
What I notice is I'm, not in the rental market myself, but what I do see out there is it's minimum about $2,500 a month, going all the way up to $3,500 or more, depending on the neighborhood and how many bedrooms and how nice the home is. So it's definitely a little bit expensive to rent here.
Okay, that's probably in line with what you see in Sedona for rent.
Is that okay?
So yeah, rents are expensive, and I apologize. I know I do have people call me a lot and ask me about rentals, and I'm like, I don't know. I know a tiny bit. What I usually do if you're asking for rentals is I refer you to property management, because they do that all the time.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to answer you on the spot, where I'm looking up stuff that probably only has about 10% of the rentals showing up on the MLS. So that, just keep that in mind. Our $2,500 starting rent estimate is just an estimate. Mm-hmm. We don't do that all the time, and we're not experts, but I'd say it's a pretty good estimate. Yes. I don't think you could get a whole lot less than that. So. And then Kristen also was saying that a lot of them rent per room. Mm-hmm. I also see that in Sedona, where there'll be an ad. It'll be $1,500 for a room for 3 people to live in a house, and they'll each get their own bedroom, and they will share a bath. Yes. And I know it's maybe not that high here, but I do see rents going for a roommate per room like that.
Yeah, I think they're varying per room from $700 to the $1,500, depending once again on how nice it is and what they're wanting.
Yeah, and where it's located, right? If it's rents, again, we're going to refer those out, but hopefully that'll give you a little bit of an indication about what rent would cost if you're looking to. Sometimes people want to rent first when they move to Flagstaff or Sedona and then buy something later, or if you're only going to be here for a couple of years, you may just want to rent right out. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about dining out. There are a lot of great restaurants here in Flagstaff. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that I don't go out to dinner very often. Okay. Most of the time I go out with my friends, we go for lunch. So I'm going to give you some ideas about what a lunch for 2 people, 2 friends going out for lunch might cost you. What do you think? What are you seeing?
I'm thinking for 2 people to go out, it's about $30 to $40. That's if you're not going to be having any alcoholic drinks with lunch. So you're looking at, a nice course for each person and a nice tea, and going out the door for $30 to $40.
Okay, I'd say that's about right. I took a friend to lunch yesterday in Sedona, and we didn't have any sides. A lot of the places will charge extra just for the fries or something. We each just had a hamburger, and it was about $32 without tips. So now I do go out a lot sometimes with friends, and we'll have a drink, maybe 1 cocktail. Now in Sedona, cocktails are super pricey. It's like $17 for a drink, and then our bill will be closer to $70. So if you want to conserve on your lunch bill, don't order drinks or desserts or add up a lot of stuff, because you can get a reasonable lunch here in Flagstaff and in Sedona for like we were saying, $30 to $40. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to touch on is utilities. Probably very important, and people want to know if Flagstaff gets so cold in the winter, what do the utilities? So what are you seeing in utilities?
So I think this last summer, I do use my air conditioning quite a bit, and my average bill is about $100 a month. So I feel like as often as I used it, it's really not that bad. I didn't crank it all day, all night, but definitely ran it all night long once I got home from work. And then heat, so far this year, it's been about $45 a month. So I think even when it snows, It's probably $45 to $55 a month. Water bill is probably like about $70 a month. If you are here and you have the grass, because it is harder to go grass up in the mountains, you're probably looking more at least $100 a month for that.
Okay. So when I had the Mormon Lake house, most of the electric bill was always cheap because it was all propane.
Oh,
but I did fill that gigantic propane tank about 3, maybe 4 times a year, and so 2 years ago I sold a place. It was about $800 to $900 to fill it. So it's probably a little bit more now because gas has gone up. So just consider that if you wanted to analyze that. I'll let you guys do the math. But to fill the big old propane tank that would last 3 to 4 fills a year was costing me about $800 a month. I imagine it's probably closer to $1,000, $1,200 now if you are on a completely gas propane. Now, of course, in Flagstaff, a lot of places are on natural gas, which is going to be a lot less. But if you go out a little bit out of town, you're going to have a lot of places that are on propane. So that's about how much you would budget for. So I think that's it. I think we've covered the major expenses for living in Flagstaff. The channel is Living in Northern Arizona, where we talk about Northern Arizona topics every single week. And if you like the channel, please do me a favor and subscribe. Maybe hit the like button and come back again next week when we post a brand new video. My name's Dawn Dickinson. I sell real estate in Northern Arizona, and Kristen Smith here, she is my lending partner, and she does loans for all sorts of real estate purchases and transactions. So we're going to put our contact information in the description below. And if you ever have a question about real estate or mortgages, feel free to reach out to us and we will get back to you. And we love it when we talk to people who are our YouTube viewers. And so don't be shy. If you want to give us a call, text, email, we'll get back to you. And I hope to see you back here on my channel again next week.